What's going on, people? Another Sunday, another episode of Talkin Lost. As my co-host just pointed out, we are officially halfway through season 2. Season 2, episode 12, Fire plus Water. That was the important part, not just fire and water right there. No, that is not an Avatar reference in any way, shape, or form. At least I don't think. We've got our next Charlie backstory episode, and man, this was an unfortunate episode. This was just an unfortunate episode. The kind of inevitable, pinnacle of where Charlie's arc was going ever since that season 1 finale, when him and Saeed unfortunately stumbled upon, the smuggler's plane full of the Virgin Marys, full of heroin. He was carrying around that damn Virgin Mary statue the whole time, and then when Echo saw the statue and forced him to reveal about the plane and kind of busted it all wide open, it has just been a slippery slope that is unfortunately collapsing beneath him.
Exactly. We had the big external conflict last episode, the encounter with the others. This week we have another internal conflict within the group. So those seeds that were planted in season 1 so brilliantly blossom now halfway through the second season, even if some things maybe we don't agree with how they're being done.
Yes, indeed. All of that and more on today's episode of Talkin Lost. All right, Luke, episode 12, Fire and Water. Like I said, our next Charlie backstory episode. We haven't had a Charlie backstory in a minute. There were a couple of important nuggets that were dropped here, though. We finally discovered Charlie's reason for being in Australia, because as I said, the only reason, literally, of all the cast, we found out in season 1, of all the season 1 cast members that we were introduced to, we found out kind of throughout that first season why each and every one of them went to Australia, except for Charlie. He was literally the only one. We saw him in the hotel. We saw, when Hurley was trying to get to the airport. We saw him open the hotel elevator with the Charlie was in. We also saw Charlie with the heroin addict prostitute in the hotel as well. But we never actually knew why Charlie was there in Australia. Like I said, he was the only one we didn't know. And this episode, we kind of sort of get into it. Like I said, we were clued in last season to, his downfall before he arrived on the island, his addiction to heroin, his attempt at his band Drive Shaft with his brother Liam, which unfortunately went topsy-turvy. We also see in this backstory as well how Liam's addiction has really, really hurt the band. They're kind of on the low end. They're really trying to struggle for a comeback, and they're just getting screwed every chance they get. Liam's wife has just given birth to his child, and of course ends with the whole, it's where Charlie's unfortunate fate is that he's had to carry his brother's water, for lack of a better word, where his brother's the one who got him addicted to heroin in the first place, and he was the one that was constantly trying to fight for the survival of the band while his brother was just giving into his vices. And now, at the end, it ends with his brother being like, I dropped my daughter, I'm going to Australia to check into a rehab clinic. I sold your piano, which was revealed to be a childhood heirloom that he received. And I'm just leaving you, the band, this whole thing that we've created just so I can make myself better, And unfortunately, it seems that while Charlie, again, has continued to constantly fight for, I guess, for lack of a better word, his right to live the way that he wants. Unfortunately, the island is showing that, like we've been saying since the beginning, the island giveth and the island taketh away. And I'm a little bit confused, though. I think this is the first time so far in the show's run that I'm a little bit confused about what the island is trying to do. Because every time the island starts fucking with people, showing them visions, showing them people that may have passed, ultimately, there's always a reason for it. There's always, for lack of a better word, a lesson for them to be learned in terms of, like I said, this show is all about people getting over respective trauma. I'm at a loss as far as what the island's trying to do. If the island is trying to set Charlie up for something worse so that he can ultimately be redeemed in the end, I don't know. And I feel like it's another one of the, again, it doesn't happen as often as we thought going in, but it's another one of those instances where it is like a thing that felt clear probably in the writer's room and then got a little muddled in execution.
Yeah, because I'm glad that you agree that we're not really sure what the island is trying to do, and because it's really messing with him, it's antagonizing him fully. I thought maybe, okay, it's trying to force conflict within the group, get them back on the mission to go deeper into the island or whatever. But I don't know, it feels a bit much from the islands. Maybe the island singled out Charlie for whatever reason, or in this case, maybe the writers say, okay, we need to create like a villain out of someone. who's
Yes.
the most likely candidate. Let's just go with Charlie. And
Right.
then they kind of almost force this full on villain arc with him seeing these biblical visions, and did he take the heroin? Did he not? He's telling Jack that he didn't. I mean, we can never really know as the audience. I don't know.
Well, it's just sad because again, it's you. We had the whole drug addict stuck on a desert island without his supply, and he hasn't been clean for that long, And that was a pretty interesting arc and something that we hadn't really seen before, and it was different from like kind of your other desert survival shows. That was what kind of the interest of season 1 is you get this bunch of strangers on this desert island, all of whom have different backstories. Like the smorgasbord, the canvas is literally wide open. You could literally throw anything at the wall. This dude's a smuggler. This dude's like from an abusive parentage. This dude's fucking criminal. This dude is has daddy issues. They all have daddy issues apparently, And then when they were like, oh, we're gonna take a drug addict, not just a drug addict, a heroin addict, and put him on this island. Oh man. And then you introduce the smuggler's plane. And then all of a sudden, and you know that, okay, it's only going to be a matter of time before he finds it. And that's going to bring all sorts of different things in. But I almost feel like with this, it almost would have been more interesting to see, to keep the reveal of Charlie keeping the heroin statues like and draw it out longer and make it kind of more of an interest of suspense ultimately. And then this whole, oh, I need to baptize the baby in order to save it because I'm being plagued by fugue dreams. And the other thing too that really kills me also is that Charlie brings up several valid points, like many, many valid points as to support him ultimately. He's like, Claire sees he's like, Kate sees a black horse in the middle of the woods. We've got this damn hatch. I forgot what else they said that somebody else.
He says everyone's seen Walt roaming around the jungle.
But I have one dream, and all of a sudden I'm crazy because I'm a heroin addict. And I think the thing that really kills it ultimately is the fact that more than anybody else, it's Locke, who is usually this voice of wisdom, this epicenter of sageness, who always seems to have the answers. And he's the one that basically like vilifies Charlie completely. Like that to me is really, really where a lot of the confusion comes from.
He literally knocks him knocks him not out cold, but he fully just bang into the face.
Right.
That was quite unexpected. Like, okay, yeah. we haven't had arguments, disagreements between the group, like not like full on. Yeah, I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah, nothing full on like this. And then also you add on top of the fact that the episode opens with Charlie having the dream of Aaron's crib floating out in the ocean, and he's been having several dreams of that. So he immediately assumed, oh my God, Aaron's in danger again, especially after the season 1 finale switcheroo. Even though again that was that's already a little bit of a red herring because again I'm like, okay, we already know that Aaron's not in danger from the others. The others wanted Walt, they have Walt. So that for now, that conflict is kind of resolved, even though that's going to come back. So you already have this thing that we're setting up with Aaron. And then on top of that, he's sleepwalking and kidnapping Aaron consistently, So I'm like, after all the shit that this guy has gone through in order to protect this kid, this newborn kid who again has not seen civilization at all, and his mother, after everything that he's been through, now you're going to test it for what? It doesn't make any sense because if the island is all about, for lack of a better word, trying to help people move on from their trauma, and this is like a way for the island to help Charlie, like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where like it doesn't bite. It doesn't make sense with the rest of the lore.
Yeah, I think this is our first real encounter with something that we don't like in the show.
Yes.
It's been pretty much flawless so far.
Because even the Kate episodes from season 1, it was just a matter of, like, we already knew why that was. They're like, oh, because Kate was originally supposed to be the main character, and then when they decided to keep Jack and recast him, they're like, oh, okay, well, what do we do with Kate now? We have all these episodes that were building up to this big mystery, and then they kind of just had to reveal it in season 2. They're like, oh, she killed her dad. That's all. That's all it was. Then it turned out it wasn't her stepdad, like she was hoping it was her actual dad. Like okay, like so that was that. But with Charlie, it's like I guess there's also the fact that Charlie's been set up as one of the more likable characters. Him and Hurley kind of had that little back and forth thing going on. And it was the fact that Charlie was like he was the rogue with the heart of gold, and he was also the sympathetic one. And also. It's another one of those comments where, yes, again, this is a classic addict behavior, when they're constantly talking around and not avoiding it. You don't actually know. They're like, oh, are they using again? And it's tough. It's a tough disease ultimately. The fact that, a lot of close family members are like, yeah, we have to watch them suffer with this disease and it sucks, but Here, it's like, no, it's like they're deliberately trying to punish him. And it's another one of the things, too, that I really, really hate in movies and TV shows, where I don't like when they take a character who's really done nothing wrong and they just relentlessly shit on him. Like, relentlessly shit on him. It's not quite as egregious as Joker. Again, that's the example that I go to. It's the reason why I despise that movie. But at the very least, like, that movie was trying to say something about society, even if it was at the expense of its main character. But this, I'm like, the for the most part, I'm like, they've kind of like all adjusted into like this one big, for lack of a better word, happy family. And even though, yeah, they'll have their conflicts, their problems, every once in a while Sawyer will say something, crazy or nuts or mean that turns out to be true at the end. But at the end of the day, they're all kind of together, especially now with the consistently overlooming threat of the others. They're kind of, they need to have each other's back. So when something like this happens and they outcast someone, they're like, that's not good, especially when we know that there's a whole other group. So not only is it sad for us to watch because Charlie's, such a lovable character, but it's also the fact that, we at this timeline in the show, we really shouldn't be alienating people, especially when, Jack and Ana Lucia are starting to get closer and they're starting to talk about forming this army in order to fight the others. So you've got all of these things that are kind of going in conjunction with each other against the others. The last thing they need is to alienate someone like Charlie to make him feel, lost and alone. And especially, again, coming from somebody like me who's seen the show, I know what's coming I know what's coming next episode in terms of like Charlie's villain arc. And especially since Charlie's villain arc was so disliked that it's a lot of the reasons why a lot of people have season 2 ranked pretty low overall in their overall rankings of Lost.
Yeah, it is the contrast that it hits him specifically. Like, everyone has their moments. They see something weird. Kate had the big episode with her father possessing Sawyer or whatever, but that was just like one episode. This is clearly setting up to be like a half a season long arc, at least, because we're halfway through the season. I expect this will be a big part going forward. But yeah, it maybe it goes back to that sort of Lord of the Flies tribalism of like, hey, you're causing trouble within the tribe. We're gonna outcast you to ensure the survival of the rest of us, or in this case, the well-being of Aaron. So yeah, it is a bit weird. It feels a bit forced. So I just want to see how it gets resolved. Will it like involve the others maybe somehow?
Yeah,
so
who knows?
So it has a lot going for it. I think we need to see another Claire flashback. She had one of the more interesting ones.
That's coming
in season 1. I'm like,
that is coming.
It's
couple more episodes. Yeah. So next week, Long Con is Sawyer, and then the week after that is one of them, which is Saeed. And then I don't remember. I believe it's the episode after that, maternity leave, is Claire, and that's where we'll get some more interesting stuff. Like I said, this season is all about setting us up for the conflict with the others. Like I said, they were really only briefly mentioned, and we really only got like brief hints of them in season 1. This season, in addition to the Hatch, is really at this point in the season. Like I said, now that we're past the tail end survivors, we've established the thing with the Hatch. Like this next section of the show is all about setting up the others. And now that we've gotten the Charlie villain arc, for lack of a better word, out of the way, that'll be resolved next episode. Then the rest of the season is pretty much going to be solely focused on the others, and that's what's really going to carry us through, really for the rest, not only just for the rest of this season, but for the rest of next season as well. We're going to end, like I said, season 3 is all about the others, is all about that. So
that is exactly what I want to hear.
Yep. Yeah. So don't worry. Like I said, there is a payoff coming. Like I said, all this deliberate buildup will eventually amount to something, and especially once you discover what the others are really about. Because I can promise everybody who has not seen the show and who is following up with us up to this point, if you've been wondering what the others are, trust me, it's not at all like what you would expect. It is not at all what you would expect.
See, I have my theories. I'm absolutely ready to be completely proven wrong about everything.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, to say the least. I don't know if you've done any YouTube deep dives or anything.
No.
That.
Like I got a scare once because a YouTube recommended me. It was like Hurley, like towards the end. I'm like, nope, scroll away.
You gotta watch out. You gotta watch out for those ones. You gotta watch out for those ones. Those ones are scary. Those ones are scary.
Not interested in this channel.
Yes,
I don't want to see that.
Good, smart. Yeah, avoid all spoilers. I
have no spoilers for the show. It's like the biggest piece of media that I don't have spoilers for.
Yes, that's
so
perfect.
I'm enjoying every episode.
That's perfect. Yes. So really, the only other thing that happens in this episode is the beginnings of the Hurley Libby relationship, where Hurley's like, oh yeah, Libby's cool. Libby's kind of cool, because she's like the only one that like isn't like Echo or Ana Lucia from the tail end. He's like, oh, she's new. I don't really know her. That would be kind of cool. I don't know. It's kind of cute. It's sad because I know where that arc's
Sawyer's like
going.
wing-banging him. He's
Yeah.
like,
that was great. And I love how
they
like
really know how to use Sawyer in these B plots.
well, I love it too because like you always have these like in-laws. It's great because you always have like the main plot, and that's always like, it's so important. It's so crazy. It's things going, and then you'll just have like this random cut to on the beach of like, hey, they're just hanging out, whatever. It's like, oh, it's Michael and Jin working on the raft. Oh, it's it's Sawyer just yelling about something else. It's just Jack telling somebody, oh yeah, you need glasses. It'll just be like these random like B plots, just be like, hey, these guys are still like have to live here, for lack of a better word. So of course, what's it called? Charlie goes to Echo, in order to try and figure out the meaning of his dreams. Because Echo is basically has basically established himself as Locke 2.0 at this point. And Locke already shows that he doesn't trust him because of the heroin thing. And Echo says that, it may mean that he may need to be baptized, ultimately, is what the dreams may be telling you. So what does Charlie do? Sets up, first he tries to appeal to Claire. Claire doesn't want anything to do with him, understandably so, because the other problem, too, also is he's doing that thing where, again, even if Charlie isn't using, he's kind of losing it to the point where it's like, oh, we're approaching
like,
crash out phase.
You very much understand Claire. It's
yes.
Like,
no.
Crazy man. This crazy man.
Claire is kind of the only character that I'm like understanding at this point, because I'm like, yeah, she has been visibly betrayed. You had this dude who, again, claimed to be redeeming himself. Now all of a sudden is like giving into his vice all of a sudden. And also, again, there was a reason why they are conjuncting that with his flashback where it showed his brother dropped his newborn baby while high on drugs. Like, they are doing that for a reason. And so Claire obviously is rightfully perturbed. So what does Charlie do? Like any rational-minded drug addict, he sets a fire, tries to kidnap Aaron, and forcefully baptize him. So in that instance, I can kind of understand why Locke knocked him out. Like, just as far as the purposes of the plot goes, it's like, oh, you're not only a danger to yourself, you're becoming a danger to everybody else now. Like, you need to take some time out, ultimately, and thankfully Jack is there once again, showing that, like, oh, the man of science, man of faith conflict is not one side. Jack is there to be the voice, to ultimately be the voice of reason in this instance, where he's like, yeah, Charlie's like, I get it, it's tough, obviously being exposed to drug addict, I am the doctor. I was like, but I need to know that this is not going to happen again. He's like, it's not, I promise. But still, it's like there's been this kind of line with Charlie that has been crossed ultimately, and he's going to have to do a lot in order to earn his way back, kind of.
Yeah, I think we have to see what the island has in store for him, because again, Lost, I have more questions than I came in as standard. I'd be disappointed if I didn't have
exactly.
More
but at this point,
after each episode,
exactly, it's the goal. It was a great writing technique in order to keep audiences invested all the way up until the end, and for the most part, it worked. So there was that. So. Yeah, like I said, we'll see how this pays off next week. Obviously, like I said, I know where it's going. It'll be interesting to see where you think it's going. Only other thing that I just wanted to give a shout out to is I did see the new Paul Rudd, Tim Robinson A24 movie Friendship this weekend. It sucks that you don't get that, because it's funny how Death of a Unicorn and Opus, which I heard are two of the worst A24 movies. I didn't watch Opus. I like Death of a Unicorn. I did, but it got bad reviews, and I saw it so long ago. I don't know if they've made.
I didn't mind it. I watched it.
It really wasn't that bad. I don't understand the hate on it that when it came out. But yeah, and Friendship, which is better than both of those movies, and so far the second best A24 movie this year after Warfare, did not get a wide release, and it sucks because it's basically, if anybody has seen I Think You Should Leave, the sketch show with Tim Robinson, it's basically like, oh, what if Tim Robinson got to like use all of those like wacky, weird sensibilities, but in like a comedy but in like a buddy comedy that's essentially The Cable Guy, but if the movie was about Jim Carrey, not Matthew Broderick, is essentially the best way that I can describe Friendship. And anybody who's seen The Cable Guy knows exactly what I'm talking about. Where it's just kind of this lonely weirdo who like is in kind of like a loveless relationship. His wife and his son hate him. All of a sudden, Paul Rudd moves in next door. He's this weatherman. It's just like this random fucking somewhere in like Colorado or Minnesota or something, and where it's snowing and cold and isolated. And Tim Robinson like literally just wants like somebody to socialize with, and it's like his whole world opens up. And then the movie takes a turn, and it is bonkers. It is wacky. It is weird. And it is fucking hysterical in all the most unexpected places. Because the thing about Tim Robinson is that he is such the type of performer where you can just tell he has all this anxiety building up and then he will just lose it and start going apeshit. And it is great. That is all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about the movie. Definitely go out and watch it if you're able to, if it's playing near you. If not, I believe it goes into wide release next weekend. But yeah, this one's really, really, really solid. So definitely give that one a shout out if you get a chance. But Luke, we only have so Fallout, our Fallout Mission Impossible rewatch that we did yesterday officially comes out on the channel tomorrow, and then we have one more
yesterday?
with Dead Reckoning. Sorry, it comes out tomorrow, not yesterday. I'm getting my words mixed up. We recorded it so recently that I'm like, oh, it feels like this. We literally did this yesterday. But Fallout will be up tomorrow. This one was a lot of fun. This was the biggest and best one yet. I'm very, very excited for the people to see this one. And then only one more, Dead Reckoning. And then that's it. The countdown to the final reckoning is we're almost there. And you're getting to see it early. So
man, I'm 6 days, like
oh, man.
less than a week now. So I'll be able to put up a good polished review of it fairly early so that you guys can get my opinion on it as the self-proclaimed Mission Impossible super fanatic. So
you got to have the ring countdown going on in the background, being like 6 days. So you got to have that going on in the background. That would be.
I've got a little thing on my laptop. It says 6 days.
Oh, there you go.
Moment, so.
Perfect. There you go. That's awesome. So yeah, like I said, so that was our most recent episode of Talkin' Lost. Like I said, we'll still be continuing to recap these every single weekend. Like I said, we're getting close. We are getting very, very close to the finish line. So Luke, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
They can follow me at Luke Reviews on YouTube. I have realized that I've left the Mission Impossible franchise video a bit too late, but I will be covering them in the big ranking after Final Reckoning. I said,
yes.
Okay, I'll at least do that part.
Yes, the big reckoning video. See, what would be cool is if we did the live stream for this, but for the rankings, but we did that like on your channel instead, just for the rankings where we went back and forth. That would be interesting. That would be something fun.
We could dual stream it. Maybe.
Exactly. We could dual stream it. That would actually be that would actually be really good. The official
we'll figure that out.
Possible ranking. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Yeah, I feel like the biggest differences between us though are going to be where we rank Ghost Protocol and where we rank Dead Reckoning. I feel like that's it because I feel like the other 5 we're going to be pretty uniform because we both love Fallout, we love Rogue Nation. 3 again was an unexpected. 3 and 1 are both great, and we both agree 2 is the worst. So yeah, I feel like it's just Ghost Protocol and Dead Reckoning are the 2 kind of points of contention for us. So, but we'll figure that out once we get to it. You guys can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talkin' TV Podcast across all platforms. And as always, people, get lost. We'll see you next week.